YouTube. Ninja Midget here. This is going to be a complete disassemble of the Polish P64. This is my P64 from 1969, the year I was born. So, I like this pistol. It's a lot of fun. But I'm going to be doing a full teardown on this. This is not just a field strip, though it does start with a field strip. Now, since there's lots of field strips out there on this video, I figured I'd do something different and have someone else come in and show you how simple it is to go ahead and do this field strip. So, without further ado, take it away, Carl.
Alright, thank you kindly. Now, what you want to be doing here, first things first, you want to be making sure there ain't no bullets in there. You're going to pull back on the slide like there, and you're going to look down in that chamber. You're going to make sure there ain't no bullets in there. Alright. Okay. Then what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to reach back on here. And we're going to pop out the magazine. We'll make sure there ain't no bullets in there. And there ain't. So now we're good to go. Now what you want to be doing next is you're going to pull down on this little lever here. And you're going to let it sit right up on the frame. Just like that. Okay. There you go. Alright. Now what you want to be doing is you're going to take a good hold on this. And you're going to pull her on back and lift it up. And let her slide on forward for you. And there you go. Now you're going to go ahead and take off the slide and set that aside right there like that. And go ahead and slide that spring off there. And then there you go. There's your field strip all done for you. Alright. Thanks, Carl. You all got any french fried potatoes? No, sorry. Alright then.
Okay, so first off, we're going to start on our frame. And the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to take out your screw that's holding in your grips. That comes out pretty easy. And the nut on the back comes off there. And you want to go ahead and just take something to get that started on the way out. Pull that screw on out. There we go. And then your grips just come off pretty easily for the most part. And there you go. There's your grips. Now, what we want to do is we want to grab our pin here that we can use to go ahead and get this held captive. Slide that in there, and then you're going to go ahead and release your trigger. Now locks that in place, and now what you can do is you can go ahead and you can pop this pin down here out. Just goes straight out, usually doesn't give you any trouble. And then what you can do is you can just go ahead and slide this whole thing out. And there's your hammer strut, your hammer spring, and this also is your tensioner for your magazine release. So there's that. Now we're going to go ahead and slide out our hammer pin, and we're going to take off this screw down here. Oops, as I'm banging my camera again. Just take out this screw. It's not in real tight, doesn't need to be. It's really just in there to retain that pin and make that pin sound so it's not coming out on you. And there we go. Alright, so the next thing you're going to want to do is we're going to go ahead and push this pin that's in your slide out from this side. And it's got that funny end on it, so you can't really go out but just one way. And you want to put your thumb over this because there's a spring down here. So you want to put your thumb over that while you're pulling that out, because that's going to want to spring on you a little bit. There you go. And tip it over and all that just comes out. Just like that. And then the only thing you have left in here is you've got your sear. But you just use your other pin to get that started on the way out. It's not in there real tight. And there is your sear. Okay, so that's the whole back half of the gun done. So the front part of the gun is a little bit tricky. You got to get this spring started on the way down here, because that is in this groove, and you want to get it started out of that groove. It's kind of tricky. You want to lift it up so it's not sliding back in that groove, and then you want to just work this out. keeping your finger over that so that it's not going to jump out on you like it wants to. Did you see how that jumped up like that? And there you go, that just comes out. And there's your spring. And then there's your slide hold. Now the next thing you want to do, let me focus this in a little bit here. Let's see here. Oops, banging my camera again, sorry about that. Drop one flashlight on the floor, we'll just get another one. There's a spring down in there. That spring is the only thing that's holding in this trigger bar over here. So what you want to do is you're going to get something sharp, a little scribe or something like this, and you're going to just pull that down and release it, release that tension, and that is the only thing that's holding this in. That just pops out right there immediately. From there, what you want to do is you're going to go ahead and slide out your trigger pin, and this is under some spring tension, so you're going to want to be careful when you're taking this out. Make sure you cover it as well as possible so that it's not jumping out on you, flying off, because it'll want to. There you go. And so there it is. Now that is your slide as far taken down as you want to take it down. I've taken this out before, and what it is it's got a really stiff spring and a large detent, like things like a 1/4 inch across. It's this huge detent in here, and this very strong spring that's sticking up in there. Getting it out is not hard. Getting it back in is a pain in the neck. No reason you should have to take this out unless you have some work to do, on that, or something's broken. But usually, leave that in. Another thing is the barrel's pinned. I see no reason to take that out unless you absolutely need to. So I'm going to call this the frame of this gun completely stripped down. Pretty easy to take apart, a little tricky to put together. I'll be doing a video on that shortly. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to work on the slide here. And for this part, it really helps if you have some of these forceps. Really comes in handy, have those open and ready to go. And just a punch or something to push your firing pin in. And what you want to do is you're going to roll your slide over like this. You're going to push your firing pin straight back as far as you can get it. You're going to take your forceps, and what you're going to do is you're going to grab onto the firing pin that's protruding on this side and clamp those down. And when you release it, your firing pin stays there. Now what that's going to do is that's going to let you slide your safety out, start getting your safety out. The first thing to note is that this detent in here is right in here under this area going this way. So when you take this out, this detent is under a good deal of spring tension. It's going to want to fly back, maybe hit this and fly up. So be aware of that, and kind of as you're moving this out, put your fingers over it so that it's not flying up and out completely. And let's see, there it is. Okay. So got that out. There's your detent. And your spring is in here. Usually wants to come out on you. There you go. There's our spring. Now, what you can do is you can just go ahead and stand this up so that your firing pin's just going to go nowhere but down. We'll let it go. And there's your firing pin and your firing pin spring. Alright, now the next part we're going to do is we're going to get our extractor out. And this one is a little tough. This is one that has launched on me before. So first thing we're going to want to note is that there is inside there, let me see if I can get an angle you can see it. You can see inside there, that extractor goes back underneath this pin. So what we want to do is we're going to get this pin back to the point using a little flathead screwdriver. We want to get it back to the point where this is going to be able to fall out. So in order to do that, you have to get it back past that little lip, that end of the extractor, and it wants to jump out on you. It's a fairly stiff spring, so you got to just kind of mess around with it until you can get it out. And it takes a couple attempts at this to get it done, but you want to make sure that you're not angling it in a way that it's going to jump out on you. And it did jump out on me. Where did it go? Oh, I hear it banging around in there. Good. Whew. I almost lost one of these before. Okay, so there's your extractor, and here's your extractor pin. And there's a little flat on your extractor pin that goes right over this part of the extractor, just like that. And then of course there is your spring that's in there. Go ahead and get that out. And now your extractor and your detent spring are almost exactly the same. I think maybe the extractor and your spring for your safety, the safety spring, I think might be a little bit lighter, so you might want to keep those separate. Now the last thing you're going to want to get out is you're going to want to take out your, let me get this in view here, chamber loaded indicator. That thing right there. And the way you're going to get that out is you want to just pull up on this part down here. This little thing down here is what's holding it in. So it's a little tricky to get it out. It doesn't want to just come out on its own. I've tried putting some pressure on this spring to get it to fall out, and it just is kind of a pain. It's one of these things, if you do it for a little while, it'll come out on you. But there it is. So that's that little part. And after that, then what you can do is your chamber loaded indicator just slides out like this. And as far as I can tell, this is not meant to come apart. So I'll just leave that together, clean it as is, and that's your entire slide disassembled. Disassemble's pretty good, pretty easy. Getting it back into place, a little more tricky, just like the frame. Things come apart easier than they go together, but that's your entire P64 teardown now, and I'm going to work on getting this uploaded, and then I'll work on the assembly video, which will be coming shortly. Thanks for watching.